my fellow conspiracy theorists, don't worry. This is all not confirmed by Artal. Don't worry. They are lying to you. I'm kidding. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wireheads. I'm Diamond Dust. I am a Netrunner GM from the internet. I also have to do some professional gaming on the side. And this is my awesome co-host.
Hi, my name's Emmerron. I wear a tinfoil hat this episode. I'm also a Cyberpunk RED GM over on StartPlaying. I do fun Cyberpunk things on my channel here, both on Twitch, on YouTube. If you're watching this on Spotify, yes, we exist in those realms primarily. But I do stuff over there, and I am very much looking forward to the topic tonight. It's been a while since I've gotten a chance to wear the tinfoil hat, and I found a way to keep it up there. So now I'm really going to be rocking this.
All right, so tonight I'm keeping them on just so that way they can't see me in the eye. All right, but
the reptilians can't steal your soul if they don't see your eyes.
Exactly,
this is a well-known fact.
And also, so that way they can't see what I'm looking at. But anyway, tonight we are going to look at all the canon events that we see in Cyberpunk RED, all the canon adventures. And we're going to figure out where the fuck do all these adventures go. And I'm going to...
Now, I will say one thing before we get started. There are some of these that I don't know if I don't think we'll get to place all of them, because there are some that are very ambiguous, right? About like where do they fall, or they and no other adventure references the event. So placing those is maybe not totally possible. There are quite a few. You'll be shocked before we're done with this how many of these we can place in a relativistic timeline. I will say up front that none of these are going to be like, well, yes, on October the 24th, 2045. We're not going to get down to a date or anything, but we will be able to get down to this goes before this by about this much time. So if you're building your own game, you'll know how not to put yourself in a position, shall we say, where you are, oh, damn it, I should have done that one first. That's what this is for. So hopefully this is helpful.
So, and also we'll kind of look at like some of the other adventures and decide where do we drop that. Now, with this in mind, if you do not want spoilers for certain adventures, scram. I'm kidding. Come back later. But we are going to be talking in some detail about what these adventures include. That way we can get an idea of like what happens. So,
yes,
Where would be a good spot to set like the stake for like where we move the line from? Do we make like the angel share be like the
No, because what I think our primary goal here is to find one end of the timeline. So we have to start there. We have to say where is either the end of the timeline as we currently understand it,
karaoke night
for RED, and well, I was going to also then say that we aren't going to include CEMK related stuff, because that's different. That's different, because we know where that fits. We've already been through that. We know where that shit is. That's 20 years in the future, 30 years in the future, actually. We don't care about that. We already know where that is. That actually has firm dates in terms of like the jacket is roughly a month after the events of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and karaoke night is some nebulous amount of time after that. There's your 2070s breakdown. We've done that. So in terms of the time of the RED, what is the last time point, essentially? What is the definitive, like, this is currently the deepest we have gotten? So if we can't identify that, where's the beginning?
That's a good question. We have to kind of figure out like what might be closest to January 2045. Oh,
well,
wait!
let's break this apart by. Is Danger Gal it?
Danger Gal actually has a set date that we could figure out what might have happened before it.
This is why the hat's on, guys. Okay, let me pull up Danger Gal dossier. For those of you unaware, Danger Gal dossier has an adventure in the back called The Incident. It is very good. I would highly recommend new GMs to check that one out if they have the book, especially if they're interested in writing their own shit, because it really does showcase how to make the most out of your NPCs.
I thought Ophelia called for, like, there was a date actually set for when Ophelia sent out the alert.
In the stream sheets, you mean?
Or like in the book, like I'm confident somewhere.
You're talking. Are you? Oh, when you say Ophelia,
page 8. I'm looking at. Oh, it's not there, but I know there's like an actual like set date somewhere in Danger Gal. I'm just trying to think where it's set.
Let me take a look. Because using Danger Gal dossier, because I know they give us like a dossier thing up front.
I thought like this incident happened like February or something.
So using Danger Gal dossier, all of that. Here we go. So yeah, page 8 has no date. The main thing that we're going to want to look at then would be the incident. The incident does not list a date. Yeah. However, we do know, well, definitively it doesn't have to exist, but it probably exists prior to Hope Reborn. We know that much.
This is true. Because somebody is alive during the events of Danger Gal dossier.
Ooh. So that actually does make it a definitive. It has to be before Hope Reborn.
So let me
know that.
Let me grab a Google Drive sheet here.
We know two things. Number one, the Street Stories books in the timeline appear in chronological order to each other. Street Stories pretty much all happens before Hope Reborn, because of several adventures that reference events from Street Stories in Hope Reborn. So we know that, first and foremost. We know nebulously the incident has to happen prior to Hope Reborn at some point. Realistically, it can be thrown in as part of Street Stories in the timeline for the most part. And we know that the data pack happens before either of them. The data pack is like the earliest in the chronology, I believe.
Yes, because but yeah, then but like I'd say let's pull on specifically the individual adventures, because I think the data pack, like some of these could be sprinkled throughout the year. I did send you a sheet. So what I'm going to do while we kind of work on diffusing this bomb, basically, as we crack open the timeline and just throw it all out open. Trust me, they're hiding the truth from us.
Anyway, ride the gates on this. I know you can.
So I'd say then, if we were to, like, until we find something that might be an even earlier start, I am going to say that Digital Divas burning it down is the start of the timeline. It could also be argued that Hilaria could also be that as well.
What one would be the other one?
Hilaria 2045, because Grace Steele and her band becomes the lead band for the Forlorn Hope while it's in Little China.
Also, let us not forget Red Chrome Cargo.
This is true.
Because we know that has to happen fairly early into things as well.
Yeah. It happened. It can happen. I know with Red Chrome Cargo, it has to happen before Hope Reborn. But I'm trying to remember what else happens, because Because I think that's the only thing that really impacts the Red Chrome Legion. Because if you succeed at Red Chrome Cargo, a bunch of Nazis get exposed to neurotoxin. Which, that's a good thing. So, I guess that leaves us with 3 different possibilities right now. That could be like starts of the timeline, which is... well, actually... Then the question's raised, like, let me go check out the Bozo section of Danger Gal dossier, and let's just see how early the Bozo Civil War broke out. Which, yes, that... Let's see, since Hilaria 2045, mostly fake Bozo shot up the Forlorn Hope. Turns out it goes deeper. Let's see. It looks like... oh. Hilaria 2045 happens after Danger Gal.
It happens after Danger Gal.
Because the Bozo Civil War breaks out before Hilaria 2045 happens.
Hold on. I don't know. I think...
Or actually, no. It says the recent Hilaria.
I think it's the other way around. This is chat. You're about to watch as 2 GMs discuss.
This is what we do sometimes.
This is a good indicative sample of what we do on Discord when no one else is around.
Okay. Hilaria 2045 happens just before the incident then, or it happens just before...
Yes, because Big Top's dossier file references Hilaria 2045.
Yep.
That's why I'm like, no, Hilaria has to happen before.
Oh, he instigated it. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Let's have let's see, Digital Divas burning it down, because I think there's even a reference to this in if you check out Firewall's page in Danger Gal dossier. I think Firewall knew about the Reaper.
Wait, let me see. That's kind of wild if true.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Andre knows Firewall. So pseudo-intelligence they use spontaneously transformed into a savage, self-aware, digital entity and violently began requesting royalties. Apparently, Firewall had been feeding the algorithm with illegally obtained corporate data. AI ended up learning a couple of inconvenient truths on how the economy operates. Same though.
So part of me wonders.
Relatable.
Part of me wonders, did Firewall know something about the Reaper?
No, that's the AI he's talking about is a whole different thing. Although I believe, what did Jay tell us during his interview with us? He conveniently retconned the change because after the Reaper attacks, there was some change up in their lineup. Was that the justification he used? Even though he said, no, that's all mine.
Apparently, it was just one big whoopsie daisies because the Digital Divas was mainly all female Chrome punk band, and they ended up becoming.
But he admitted that it was like a bullshit reason. But what was the bullshit reason he gave us? Because he gave us a lore based rationale for it that sounded really good, and I'm just
I think it was due to publicity matters. Sizzle Jams actually changed out who was on the lineup. So it's
possible that the current lineup came in after Digital Divas, which would be understandable. Honestly, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. So by extension, we know Hilaria happens before Danger Gal. We know that the Digital Divas scream sheets from the data pack happen before Danger Gal.
Would we say Don't Fear the Reaper also happened before Danger Gal then? Well,
by
actually,
extension,
how long was it?
yeah, because only a couple days. It's only a couple days between when Styles contacts you and the concert had happened. It's like later that same week, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So let me have a look here. Because there was something else here that I thought kind of further cemented some differences there as well. Because I'm trying to think, were there any other entities in Danger Gal that make reference to plot points within the wider scope of other adventures? I don't know if there are.
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Okay. So we know, yeah, so the Danger Gal dossier, the incident. So Digital Divas, burn it down. And we know somewhere in the midst of that era. So this is maybe like somewhat nebulous. Like these, other than Don't Fear the Reaper. So what I'll do is this actually, probably, because we can subdivide these.
Okay.
Into 1A, because we know Digital Divas Burn It Down is 1 point here that you could technically start with. We know Red Chrome Cargo is another. And we know that, what was the third one? Hilaria 2045 is one of these. Because all of those can happen in roughly equal time frame to one another. There's no hard order between those three.
We mark that as the start then.
I would say that that's probably our earliest definitive gigs that we could say, like, this happens here.
All right. So
so step one, early end of the timeline, are those 3 gigs, and it is fairly nebulous which one you do first, as long as none of the ones we'll talk about afterward happen before these.
Now, also something else that kind of gives us a little bit of a time frame. There is some scheduling in Black Chrome to when fixers have their night markets.
Okay.
So, Miss Mina, who most likely was having a night market coming up when, we actually have an idea for when Havoc Got a Stitch to Wear happened. It happened in springtime. It happened actually in springtime. Because of the sheet for it.
Hold on.
Let's go to
let me see, pulling up Miss Mina and pulling up Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear.
We need Tales of the Red Plus for this one.
Do we?
Yes.
Based upon what?
The scream sheet that comes along with
because that adds reference. Good thinking.
It does.
Okay. Yeah, TTR plus. So come on, load. Thank you. So scream sheet for Haven't Got a Stitch Away. There it is. So, Wedding Blitz cause problems. Because, none of these are ever time-stamped, which is fine. Let's see, Garden Patch. References this morning.
Because,
No, here,
Oh.
an unexpected upswing in the matrimonials has left night cities, tailors, and houses of worship scrambling to keep up with increased demand. We've seen 1,000 more weddings this year than we would in a normal year, says Shears, a tailor at the Night City Institution, Terrell and Chang, and it's only September.
Oh,
Haven't got a stitch to wear is in September.
so it happens in early fall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought it was springtime for some reason.
No, not per this.
All right, where would we put?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Like why I was thinking of spring. It was about two tubes and truck logistics being violently acquired last May. So we could probably put the incident where, like, I don't know, the incident feels like it might be, well, actually, mushrooms. Let me check, like, the growth cycle of mushrooms, because it seems the shroomers let the, like, have a certain, seem to follow, the shroomers seem to follow when mushrooms grow pretty well.
Well, there's our hydroponics though, so that's
True.
They're not. I don't think mushrooms are seasonal. I think that as long as you give them the right growing conditions, they can grow any time of year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, like, because the incident feels like it happens before Hope Reborn, but it could happen sometime during Street Stories, but it has to. But I feel like it's like earlier in the year.
Let me see here, because I'm looking at the other screen sheets in TOTR Plus. Because now you've got me looking for the small stuff. So let's see. Okay. Skyrocketed, yeah. So that's whatever.
Let's see. And chat, if you guys have any ideas, important details that we may have missed. Actually, when does Drummer and the Whale happen? Because, like, the water is...
They give us Drummer and the Whale's scream sheet in here, but
does Drummer and the Whale have a scream sheet? Oh,
it does in TOTR Plus, but it doesn't have any dating in any of the articles. I already looked at it. So yeah, that one doesn't seem to suggest a time, at least in the scream sheet. The book might be a different story, but usually those don't date anything.
Boy, oh boy, you feel that tin hat like just cooking a little bit, like, ooh.
I can feel my own brain waves echoing back into the brainstem. It's giving me power. This is how you overclock your heads, kids. Wear
it
tinfoil.
Seems like it's been raining for a week straight. The weather reports keep talking about rain washing away the dirty crime. Last night's caustic blood. And, like, for me, luckily a local fixer by the name of Rex Royale got in touch. There's a client for some for the Bay. I feel like with excessive amounts of rain, spring.
I mean, let's look at Night City weather. When's it the most common time of year?
Oh shit, you're right.
This, my friends, is why you think on all cylinders.
March to
this
May.
Is why mine is tinfoil infused. Diamond, unless she has tinfoil on her head behind that 3D avatar of hers. This is why you wear the tinfoil.
It is in fact March to May. So we know Drummer and the Whale then happens at some point, probably in the spring, is very likely where it happens.
Yep.
So do we maybe drop it in like after Don't Fear the Reaper? Because Don't Fear the Reaper happens pretty quickly after Digital Divas burn it down.
Well, let's see. Because now I'm curious about the data pack. Let me see what the screen sheet for that says. Because that's Hilaria. This is Digital Divas. Okay.
Oh, we have something for Thrill Kill, by the way.
Oh, hold on. Oh.
What's up?
The screen sheet for Digital Divas mentioning Grace Steele winning Battle of the Bands at the Forlorn Hope.
Yep.
That comes after Hilaria.
Hilaria
is, as of yet, Hilaria and Red Chrome Cargo are the only two in contention now.
All right. So then we'll move Digital Divas Burn It Down to slot number 2.
Yep. Let's see. Faulty.
It looks like I care to think with Thrill Kill, they're talking about like really good clear weather, sunny skies, high 70s, like during the week. Ooh. Yeah, chat. So this is kind of what we do, where we will sit here and kind of skim through. Well, not just skim, but actually scour the. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll scour the books. We'll scour the material.
It's like I'm also checking like all the little links that are that follow up on these things as well, and I care to think Thrill Kill lands somewhere earlier in the year.
Thrill Kill's early in the year.
Well, or not like early in the year, like summertime is what it looks like. Because the highest chances of having 70-degree Fahrenheit weather are actually like the only chance to have like really good chances of 70-degree weather is June through August. So I think until maybe proven otherwise, maybe we drop Thrill Kill after the incident.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad place to put it. Because I need to find the tab that I had open for that. Let's see. So we have Thrill Kill there. The other thing we have here that we know was we know Haven't Got a Stitch Away then would be after this.
Yep. So also we know Reaping the Reaper happens after Digital Divas Burn It Down and Hilaria 2045. Because Grace Steele is at the Forlorn Hope when you guys meet her.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, and the nice thing about Hope Reborn is that we know that is like one continuous whole. We actually don't even need to talk about the internal timeline for it, unlike Street Stories, because we know things there kind of happen one thing after another. So let me see.
I suppose something I would like to throw out there. Staying Vigilant. Gosh, let me find Staying Vigilant. Where are you at? At some point, Staying Vigilant. Oh gosh. Oh, brain, where were we going with this? Sorry, lost my mind there for a moment. There.
Hold on, let me see. Because you were thinking about staying vigilant, something relative
Yes.
to that.
Um,
Low ball. You were thinking about low ball,
Yeah, low
and the
ball.
fact that his name gets mentioned and the fact he's leaving the city, which we know happens after. So that's why we know Hope Reborn currently sits at the end of this. Because that whole book happens end to end. So that currently is, that might be the actual end of our timeline. That might be the extreme end of our timeline.
Yeah, we know Drummer and the Whale happens in the spring. We know this.
Yeah.
So I guess it's now with Don't Fear the Reaper. I'd care to say Drummer and the Whale maybe happens just before Reaping the Reaper, because I don't imagine it probably wouldn't have taken that long, maybe only a month until the party gets contacted again.
What, for just in general?
So, yeah, like when Vicky's,
I mean,
like,
I think that's supposition. I don't think that, because like for you guys, I think it's been more than a month in our campaign, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't break the internal, because like that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the question is, does it break the internal time? Like we can't definitively. That's why I was doing the A/B thing, because it's like within these adventures, we cannot definitively place which of these came first, but we know that they happen roughly at a similar point in the timeline, given what comes after. Which raises a great question, actually. Where is Red Chrome Cargo's scream sheet? Let me look at that real quick. Earlier today,
I'm just trying to think. Then, like,
yeah, and it doesn't actually name any times for Red Chrome Cargo. So that's why I'm inclined to say, like, that's probably the hard beginning, as is Hilaria, because it's like neither one of those, I think, expresses a hard, fast time frame.
I feel like Reaping the Reaper and Drummer and the Whale could have probably happened interchangeably. Likely either, but probably before the incident, I'd care to say.
I would say so, yeah, because we know it has to happen before Hope Reborn. So yeah, then we would go
what it seems like,
God damn it.
And for what it seems like, Marianne's pretty comfortable with you guys coming in during the incident, so most likely you most likely did Reaping the Reaper. So I'd say maybe Drummer and then Reaping the Reaper.
What makes you say Drummer first?
Because there was a gap of time between the incidents of Don't Fear the Reaper and Reaping the Reaper, that unless you were just sitting around doing nothing, which I don't think those jobs paid enough for you to sit around and do nothing. That's something else I'm considering.
Fair.
You probably
that's fair. That's fair.
So
yeah.
Bucket full of popcorn flavored kibble. Let me check out.
There's no scream sheet for it if that's what you're
looking
for.
No. I'm looking at like when things happen. It's been a little bit, but like, you know, they're shooting a movie, and usually the best time to shoot films is probably when the weather is going to be least volatile.
Oh my goodness, what just happened? Nyla, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it.
10
Welcome,
months.
Nyla. Thank you for the little twerking bunny emote. I appreciate you. We are currently deciphering the entire timeline of Cyberpunk RED up to the current point. Horror-filled session. There's some crazy ass nomad nearly killed us. You were the crazy ass nomad who nearly killed everybody for your crushed car. So, because I don't know that we have any reason to pick a point in the timeline for snuff. We definitely don't for wood pirates. Well, unless, hold on, let me pull up the core rulebook screen sheets while you look at what you're looking at. Because I'm going to see if those are dated.
Which, chat, what I'm looking for, I am suspecting that a bucket full of popcorn flavor. Ooh. The Parisian hostess. This
finish your thought, Diamond. You're instructing chat.
My brain's going here. I'm trying to figure out where certain things line up. It's Parisian hostess. Is that an actual book? No, it's not. All right, unfortunate. Okay. And what I'm looking for is, because most, if I had to suspect, most movies that are shot outdoors will be shot during the summer, when the weather is going to likely not have issues.
Well, it depends. Some parts of the country, the summer is more volatile.
This is true.
I know, for example, here in Arizona, usually our most climatically stable months are in the spring and the fall. Because in the summer you get these monsoons, and in the winter you can get rain too. So it's usually fall and spring when we have the most stable weather, where it's clear skies and stuff like that.
And
that said, it gets hot as fuck some of those times of the year, but
I would care to say this is early
not a
summer.
problem.
If I had to guess based on weather alone, because from what I imagine, they're working with them during a time that seems pretty safe to do it. And also, there's just kids, kids that not like yo gangers, just kids out. So I assume maybe school has just gotten out. So I'd care to say this happens after the incident.
And we're talking about which adventure again while I've been hunting through things?
A bucket full of popcorn flavored kibble.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I'd say it probably happens either somewhere hanging around whenever Thrill Kill happens. But I would say if I had to put a bucket full of popcorn flavored kibble somewhere, it would happen after the incident at some point, either late May, early June. Because also what are they looking to harvest though? Us to collect. Ooh. Actually, looking at some of the food selections that they're wanted. Thinking you could have grows that could just
hydroponic gardens make anything possible.
This isn't just I'm imagining, because some of the people that you would run into are rooftop gardeners.
Yeah, if we're talking rooftop gardeners, those have to garden with the seasons. But that's where I'm just make sure that whatever you're about to reference the growing season for is not hydroponically growable. Because even rooftop gardeners might have greenhouses. Remember that.
Yeah. So I guess if I really had to pitch it, I would put a bucket full of popcorn flavored kibble, at just after the incident. So we'll just short it to popcorn flavored kibble, like in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, do not eat the popcorn flavored kibble with Smash. Do not consume it after midnight. And there was one other thing, but yeah, there's a lot of stipulations for the popcorn flavored kibble, and it's
Yeah, and I don't think any of the other core rulebook ones, none of them are dated. So feasibly you could fit them just about anywhere. There's no real reason to put them any one place
Yeah.
or the other.
I feel like Wood Pirates feels like if you're going to be harvesting, well, actually, because it's for sabotaging forests, actually, ooh.
It can happen any time of the year, just about.
It
like
could.
that's
I'd say if you're
yeah.
really going to fuck with someone's like really nice trees, though, do it during the springtime when they're in bloom.
But there's no indication that that's where it is or that's what's going on. Which is why I say, like, I don't think that there's any hard indication for that, and so I'm not inclined to put it on the list. I don't think that we have enough proof one way or the other, and it doesn't impact any other adventures. That's why I kind of said at the start, like, we may or may not get through all adventures and be able to put them on the timeline, because there are some that are just flat out, like, you do this whenever. Snuff is another one of those, where it's like, Snuff doesn't have a timeline. But, like, the ones we have talked about so far do.
Let's see, Agents of Desire. This one feels like this happens like earlier in the year.
It has to be before Hope Reborn. We know that much.
Yes. And I feel like this also happens before Reaping the Reaper.
Yes.
It feels like it should be there. Plus, the college students are at college.
Yes.
So
it's sometime during the school year. So that's either
spring or
somewhere between
autumn.
spring or fall. Yeah, it's not summer.
And from just kind of like the way that like I've read it, I've played it, I've been through, it always feels like it's like probably like spring. It feels like late March, early April is usually the usual timeline. I've seen this get put up. Which I feel like it kind of checks out because like they're trying to get the lesser payments squared away probably in March if they're trying to. Well, actually, if they are trying to pay off their student, like pay off their semesters. Boy, yes, I'm bringing the real dystopia into the fake dystopia here.
Yeah, because they're trying to push finals and stuff. So I think April's honestly not a bad call for that though. Because if they're like, yeah, this is like midterms and stuff like that, like March probably fits, honestly.
So I'd say just after Reaping the Reaper then, or maybe just after the incident, perhaps.
Because Reaping the Reaper can realistically happen anytime after the second half of the Scream sheets. Yeah, like that's where I'm like, Reaping the Reaper doesn't have like a hard fixed place in the timeline outside of those points. That's where like everything is relativistic, right? Yeah. You know, like some things have relation to each other, and we know that more generally because other thing gets mentioned in other adventure, and this we know had to happen before that could happen, then we therefore know the timeline. But it's all context clues. So, like, Agents of Desire, I think, happens before Reaping the Reaper.
Okay.
I'm inclined to say it happens before. Because otherwise, there'd be more mentions of, like, well, what about that AI attack that just happened, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm like.
And also, I feel like fine dining like this, especially because I'm looking at like the artwork also for the place. I don't know. This feels like they've got the place dressed up for spring. It's what it kind of looks like. They got the place dressed up for. I mean, the clothing.
Yeah, we know the Halloween Scream sheets take place after Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear, based on the fact that that's September.
All right. Let's see what other ones. Bathed in Red and One Red Night. An outdoor concert happens here. I feel like. Oh.
You're looking at what now?
Bathed in Red and One Red Night. We know those two happen alongside each other.
We do. And this one I'm going to talk about a little more gently, just because I know we do have people in the chat that are. Let's see. Because the screen sheets for these didn't mention a time.
If I had to pitch a guess, I would say probably after Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear. It would check out because it would probably be like in those last cool days of September, but not like cold enough that you need a jacket yet.
I'm just double checking if there was anything. So it doesn't stop all the students from the university district barreling through those rich kid posers from the executive stone.
Why is Emmerron wearing a tinfoil hat? Well, Gary, we're working on a conspiracy right now.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Actually, based on what I'm reading there, because I almost would be inclined to say then that. Well, no, because Night at the Opera, I think we agree, is probably spring based on how people are talking about there. Well, let me see. Does it talk about people walking? Because usually most people graduate in spring. No,
actually
like
they do.
Like for graduation.
They do.
I brought it up, but I'm trying to think if that's something I ad-libbed or read.
That's... I think there is talk about, like, there's no way I'm going to graduate this semester in there, actually. I am confident that is a comment that's made.
You following up on the damn email. Okay, cool. So someone mentions not following up on their damn email. And then
plus with
there's the quad conversations. I know some of those at the party. Psychology majors get their papers accepted.
A couple more months. Biotechnica, here we come.
But that could happen any time of year. That's not hard. Oh, guess who got into the summer internship?
Oh, there it is.
Shirafa. So it is spring. Yeah, it would have to be if they were like applying for that. That's probably happening spring semester at some point. So yeah, okay. So then based upon that, then we know that it's probably near the start of the time, which makes sense, honestly.
After Digital Divas?
Probably, yeah. I would say Night at the Opera. All right. Very cool. And then we Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear. And then what was the one that I was thinking about filling in that link
the Red Night double.
Yeah,
Bathed in Red / One Red Night. Which I count those two as one solid adventure.
They are. Yeah, that's a two-parter.
I feel like we're missing a street story or two somewhere. Which ones are we missing?
We're missing Staying Vigilant. We don't have down here yet. And
I feel like this one. The crew would have had to have gotten a little bit more. Well, actually,
cred.
A little more cred. But how long was the slaughter happening before we got called in?
Was
it weeks?
Here, let me pull it up. Because I don't always stick to what they canonically list in the scream sheet. Or in the adventure, I sometimes create my own time frame because it makes more sense. But let me see. Scream sheets, local medias report third massacre in as many days. So it's 3 teams. It is in 3 days.
Oh, so it all happens
day 1, day 2, day 3, just bam, bam, bam. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yep.
So I'd say, at this point, if we were looking at, a crew getting some cred to come rolling up into the afterlife,
Okay, so let me see the hook. Solos meander. Fresh wave of panic. Yeah, so there's that. Rogue. Lane serving the room, seeing the crew, motions for them to follow, pass them to the bar a few cells. So Rogue knows you by this point.
So it has to be after.
It kind of assumes that she's not questioning why you're there. She just has you follow her. So, like, unless Trace really has that kind of pull, I would assume, to me, that reads like she knows you. And to me, that would suggest it leads after Agents of Desire.
Yeah, after Agents of Desire, for sure. I would say even after the incident, where you're like, you know, really getting, you'd be rolling in with like really good cred because, you know, you've worked for Styles, you've worked for Mouse,
Investigators, yeah.
If word gets out, you know, you've hunted down psychos, like, yeah. So I would say probably after the incident, probably just before Bucket, well, popcorn flavored kibble.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So then this is where we put staying vigilant. There we go. So let's see. So that's, we've got Night at the Opera, Don't Fear the Reaper. Or not Don't Fear the Reaper, it's Reaping the Reaper. So
that's all of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's all of them. Cool.
That's all the ones that we have from
these are all the ones we have that have like a hard time reference, basically.
Stories. Hope Reborn. Well, from
I think this is for all of them, unless hold on, we're gonna go one step farther. I'm gonna go to the JSK.
Yeah, Jumpstart Kit I feel is like the early end of things.
Yeah, let me.
I will pull up their scream sheet from Interface Red 2 here.
Is it 2 or 1?
They're number 2. I think okay, so
that's part of the conversion guide.
All right, the scream sheets are the conversion guide. Okay.
No, so we have to go to the actual JSK. Okay, I can do that.
I honestly, the JSK feels like it is really meant to get the ball rolling.
Let me see. I think it's in the world book for the adventures.
Yep.
Adventure. Okay. So the apartment. So the apartment doesn't actually have any hard references because it doesn't have scream sheets. Okay. So the first is Night City 6 hours ago. Okay, so the first one, Precious Cargo, doesn't have any breakdown. The second is the Rush Revolution one,
Just Like
for
Real
Just
Life.
Like Real. Just Like Real. Does this have... No, it doesn't. Okay, so that has no...
I would like to point out something, actually.
What's that?
This situation. Let's take a look at any characters that are mentioned in Just Like Real Life and put them against Danger Gal Dossier's NCPD group, because I feel like you are going to Precinct 1 for this job.
Well, yeah, but it's Officer Lance is the one that hires you.
Okay.
And then...
Rookie sniper named 10 Gallon.
Yeah, none of those, I think, make appearances in the dossier.
All right. Okay.
And let's see.
Looking like it's Police Academy.
And I mean, police academies can hire realistically in at any point, but
yeah, and usually like they're like, if I had to compare to police academies that we have run, they usually start in the spring and they get you out of there by autumn. at the latest.
So it's sometime in the summer, maybe. But
So yeah, I would say.
I mean, but if they're training them on BDs, I mean that you could technically run whenever.
Because Cherub is like fresh out of the academy. If that means anything. That maybe this was maybe like somewhere squeezed between Reaping the Reaper and the incident.
I don't think there's enough points to reference to say for sure. I think that is speculative. I think, it doesn't look like the JSK has any hard codes for like, this is definitely where this lands. So I'm willing to leave them all out because I don't see anything in there that suggests one way or the other what is going on time-wise. So that's fine because I want there to be at least a fair amount of reference to like, okay, this is the time of the year or whatever. So yeah. So the timeline that we have of the 35 or so adventures, with the understanding that we've collapsed, what is this? 2, 5, 6. So 11 of those into just single line categories here. We've got the starting points, the 2 starting points we have here would be either Red Chrome Cargo or Hilaria 2045. Both of those are pretty equally reasonable to start off with. Those go into Digital Divas Burn It Down because it makes reference to Gray Steel. So Hilaria needs to happen before that. We have Night at the Opera because it references summer internships in one of the bits of dialogue there. Don't Fear the Reaper because that has to happen after Digital Divas. Drummer in the Whale because that is weather. We're basing it on weather and like what the weather report is. Agents of Desire because again it is partly based on weather and time frame in terms of like when some things are happening. Reaping the Reaper because by then you've already got like a bit of a reputation at the Hope. The Incident because that is even further like you're at the Hope. Staying Vigilant because by then you know Rogue, which means that you've already done at least Agents of Desire. Popcorn flavored kibble. What was the rationale on that?
I figured that like it wouldn't be like in the middle of the blazing hot summer, but probably like just after spring, so that way less likely chances of rain. So probably somewhere late May, early June.
Okay, cool. Then we have Thrill Kill because we assume that that's just midsummer based on the way it's described. Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear because that mentions September specifically in the Scream sheet. Bathed in Red, One Red Night makes sense because again, it's kind of like the party vibes in there feel very like spooky kind of thing. Halloween Scream sheets because all of those are supposed to take place near Halloween, and Hope Reborn because every part of the other things here kind of need to have happened before Hope Reborn starts. Yeah. I think that's our timeline. And then Hope Reborn's a straight shot through. So, like, theoretically, Hope Reborn's the end of the timeline.
Yeah, then a lot of these other ones you could drop into the timeline where you feel best. Like, I think if you were to, like, with Wood Pirates, I would probably drop it in late spring, early summer, somewhere around there when trees are in full bloom. But
sure,
it's a thought.
It is.
But yeah, like if we had to, and I kind of want to put this up to Jay and James and just be like, all right, guys, how did we do?
How do we do about the relative timeline of these things?
And watches Jay or James is just like, oh well, actually you're wrong. Like, fuck.
Yeah, we'll give them the sheet each and a red pen and see. And the other fun thing is if we did it to each of them and they come up with different interpretations. See, this is what you got to do. Yeah. This is what the tinfoil hat's for. Like I said, overclock your brain. So with that, I think that kind of brings us to the end of the topic on that front.
Absolutely.
So now let's Q&A a little bit. Even though I know we're like well past where we would normally end here. Because I know we did get some Q&A
we're
this
coming
week.
up on an hour on my recording.
Okay. Cool. Well then, yeah, then we're kind of chilling. So let's Q&A. And I will increase the size of that
We got 2 stories.
Much larger.
We
have 2 stories.
Not 2 stories. 2 questions. Yes.
Hold on, let me do this. Unless I require this for either of the questions. Are either of your questions you're looking at conspiratorial?
No.
Good, then I'll take this off.
All right, I'll take the goggles off. There we go.
There we go. There we go. You can see your dead eyes. That's what it looks like when you stare into a Netrunner soul. They're dead inside. We all are. Why do you think we're okay burning our brains?
All right, and I'll take off the tinfoil lined jacket.
There you go.
I cannot. All right. Seems that the
tinfoil jacket stays on.
Apparently it does. What the fuck?
That's so funny. Okay, so let me grab...
There we go.
Where's my QA? Here we go. There's QA.
Back to bodysuit. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it looks like we got a couple of questions.
Okay, and we did get an email. So do we want to do the Q&A, like the short questions, or because I kind of read you the email before we started, so you got an idea. But it was asking about starting points and things like that. So which would we like to kind of tackle first? Because I feel like they're going to be 2 kind of distinct.
Like starting point. Like, let's go ahead and knock starting points out of the way.
Okay.
Like, what exactly are we looking for with starting points?
Yeah. So let me read the email. To the person who sent this in, thank you for your question. First and foremost, just because you didn't specify whether or not we could read your name, I'm not going to. But they say, hey all, love the podcast, was just looking for a bit of advice. I will be shortly GMing an in-person Cyberpunk RED game for my table, who have lots of TTRPG experience, but haven't played Cyberpunk RED before, and only one of them has played Cyberpunk 2077. With the new campaign book being released, I was wondering which structure and stories would be the best for running new players that are brand new to the game. I was originally going to do a gig a week style from existing scream sheets, notably from Street Stories, but I'm now torn between running Street Stories, Hope Reborn, and The Jacket. If it helps, we typically play around 8-hour sessions bi-weekly, tend to get through the content fairly slowly. Take it easy. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Do you think our timeline actually kind of gives a
timeline is, so it just depends, because our timeline is just a relativistic look at like the events and stuff, and it does not change the fact that you are the GM and you can refab things to work differently or whatever. Because for all we know, right, like there's a reference to Lowball leaving the city in Hope Reborn, but this maybe isn't the first time he's left the city, right? Maybe he left before and now he's back, and then staying vigilant happens,
so he just
right?
leaves like a bitch. Okay.
Right, exactly. I mean, we hear stories in 77 about how Dexter Deshawn has done that too. So like, it wouldn't be the first fixer to kind of skate the city when things get bad, right? So my personal philosophy, and Diamond, you're free as always to disagree with the crazy things I say. But my personal opinion, for your sanity as a GM, as well as keeping things simple for your players, my recommendation always has been and probably will remain until there's something better for it, Red Chrome Cargo.
Absolutely.
It's very simple. Very, very, very simple. And if you did want to run it using the 2070s rules, the only issue with the jacket in terms of adding continuity to your adventure afterward is that until we have the full Cyberpunk 2077 source book for the tabletop, that is going to kind of be its own thing, right? Like, it's kind of pocket dimensioned off. We don't know a ton about this setting outside of what we know in the video game. So I think red is the better way to go personally for
If
people who are new.
if you were to, outside net running. Net running
Mhm.
is the one thing that I like. While I do think the jacket is a great introductory adventure to teach the players like how to play Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
it does a disservice to net runners to a degree. Like, yes, the quick hacks, but you are rolling your dice. You don't really learn to use boosters. You don't really learn to use much of the other stuff there.
Sure. Yeah, on that front, I don't necessarily disagree. That said, to cover that in a starter product would have been a nightmare, so I understand why
Mm-hmm.
they didn't do that. There's a reason netrunners don't appear in easy mode. There's a reason netrunners don't appear in their full-fledged form, even in the jacket. Like quick hacking is a thing. Quick hacking is very cool. But
Yeah.
because you're telling us that only one of your players has the context of 2077, I would just let that player in particular know, hey, net running does not work the same in red as it does in the game. It is more, analog. It's a little more,
Dungeon diving.
dungeon diving. Yeah, it's not where it gets to yet in terms of being
And
able to quick hack.
Red Chrome Cargo, in this case, it does feature a small splash of net running, which, like,
Mm-hmm.
I will always, usually whenever I look at an adventure, I will look always to how does the net runner play in this adventure.
Yep.
It that'll help me determine if this would be a good introductory adventure for a group with a net runner, because net runners unfortunately have to pay the net runner tax, and you want to make this worth their while when they jump in. So yeah, Red Chrome Cargo, like what Emmerron, it's like what a 3-4 story, or like 3 or 4 level network that's
It's
in the
four,
Hammerhead.
I think, because it's like
I
password ice, or no, it's file, because I believe there's a file at the top, but here, I'll pull it
oh,
up.
I
I,
got
I
it.
have it up over here.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Five. Yep, 5 floors.
Yeah. So it's not bad. Like, and it is a great intro to um net running in terms of like risk reward, because it does a good job of like, okay, you have a really basic obstacle and a password, then you get your file that is really what you came here to like find, but then it asks, but there's more.
Do
Do
you want
you
to go
want to
deeper?
go down? Yeah. And then if you do, it makes the last encounter much easier. So like it's a really cool, provided of course the Hellhound doesn't burn your brain out. Um, but it is a great introductory kind of like tutorial thing for not just netrunners, but like techs get a lot of use in this. Hell, even social characters can try to like negotiate their way through this, or they negotiate on the back or front of that with Hornet. There's a lot of really good ways to make this work, and make it a good intro. So I'm a fan of this being like the starting point whenever I'm pointing someone into Cyberpunk Red. And if only one of your players is 2077 as a point of reference, Red is going to be so easy for them to get into. And it's less confusing too in a lot of ways, because you don't have quick hacking, you don't have all the specialty weapon types yet. Which those are easier to understand if you already get how red is supposed to work at a core level. So I think that I would recommend Red Chrome Cargo as a good starting point, and then yeah, maybe refer to our timeline. If Street Stories is in your docket, like refer to that.
Street.
Um,
If anything, like Hope Reborn may be a good place that if you want to, you can pick up new characters and take off. But
mhm.
Street Stories honestly will run your players through the gauntlet to really get a feel
Mhm.
for the good, the bad, and ugly of Night City. I've lost my entire party during a Street Stories campaign, and I've also lost my own character in a Street Stories campaign. And kind of an offshoot side adventure, but
Mhm.
still, eh. But but like it takes you, from some of the highest points in Night City down to the lowest parts of the bay. So you're going to explore a full variety of places. Hope Reborn, however, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say this as well. From my experience with Street Stories, because we ran it cover to cover as a straight through campaign, which when I'm running, like when we talk about it in the context of like what I'm doing with the crew over on StartPlaying right now, I'm jumping around the book. I'm not sticking to like one through line continuity. I'm just like, we're starting here, then we're going here, then we're going here, then we're going here. So if you like some flexibility with how you GM, Street Stories gives you a lot of room to like decide this is the order of events. You're not really stuck in any particular order in those, which is kind of nice if you are a more freeform GM and you like having a little more wiggle room with the way you do things. Hope Reborn is it's got its moments where you still get some of that flexibility, but the core of it is a campaign. So you're going from start to finish without end. And that is, you're obviously it's a very different thing there. So if you want a little more rigidity for your first campaign, what I might suggest is you could still do Red Chrome Cargo, and it still makes sense as a lead into Hope Reborn. But if you have the data pack, Hilaria 2045 is another good one to do before, so you have a feel for it. Like, if you have all of the adventures that we talked about today, because I understand this is one other thing that Diamond and I have, we're particularly special in the sense that we have every book for Cyberpunk RED, like, under the sun from start to current. So, like, if you're not at that point and you're missing something, Red Chrome Cargo is free, Hope Reborn is one book. If you have those two together and you just run a campaign starting with Red Chrome Cargo and then just firing straight through Hope Reborn, you guys are going to have a great time. And there are some sprinklings of Street Stories you can put in after the fact that will further enhance that, I think.
Actually, there is a gap between Adventures 3 and 4 in Hope Reborn that you could drop either a scream sheet. Basically, I think there's like a month gap that happens between Adventures 3 and 4.
I think it's because Adventure 3, you're actually spending that month doing all the gigs.
Yeah, I'm talking about at the conclusion of Adventure 3. There's like downtime, which you could probably let me look, but there could be a spot that if you want to break away from all of that, like if you want something a little lighthearted and fun. I mean, if you have it set to like October. Do the Haunted Vendant, or Adams versus vampires. If you're looking for something for the community, you pay to win.
We have a couple of questions that are popping up in chat now too. I'll just throw these in here real quick. Hold on. One of them in particular I thought was really funny. Let me see here.
Hey, I resemble that. It regards us being dead inside. Yo, you know it. Oh, you know it, Gary. Let's see. At the end of Adventure 3, which is called Welcome to the Neighborhood. All right. By this point, your crews probably accumulated a small amount of wealth and improvement points. Give them 2 weeks to relax, perform tasks, go shopping before Marianne calls them in for the next mission. And like most of the adventures from Street Stories take like maybe a day's worth of time.
Some take a couple days. Like, Drummer and the Whale and Reaping the Reaper in particular are several days.
I'm talking like the little bitty ones. Day. Like because like bucket full of popcorn flavored kibble if you want something lighthearted. Street Stories, I would recommend that one. You're dealing much more with people, especially if you have a socially oriented crew and you want some contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Bucket is a really good one for that, to have contacts.
Yeah, but Bucket has some redeeming qualities where that's concerned. I know, like when I ran through my first campaign with Street Stories when I was a player, we actually didn't do it because our GM was like, man, But OGM also took onus with the Saturday Night Butt Kickers, so like it is what it is. But he likes the Cyberpunk being very kind of dark and serious, and I don't disagree. I find I have the most fun when I am taking it very like hard realism kind of thing. But I do agree that is a lot of good stuff in it, and that it's like a day.
It also create like I've noticed like Bucket does create like some new threads for you to run adventures off of.
Yeah.
Haven't got a Stitch to Wear. That literally occurs. It takes place in one day.
Yeah. Like you're doing, most of these are 1 day gigs. There's a handful that aren't, but most of them are. So yeah, as far as that goes, I would say it's up to you as a GM ultimately. But if you want some more structure the first time around, Hope Reborn's a great answer to that, because it gives you a lot more structure than Street Stories does in most cases. And Street Stories has some like really excellent one-off gigs that you can sprinkle in if you ever feel like you want to do something a little different. And like, no matter what we said in the first section or the first half of this kind of section here, where we're talking about the timeline and when things fit, where they don't, that is entirely us just trying to figure out the canonical timeline. You can do whatever you want. I've already said in this episode that I mess around with the timeline all the time. Oh, yeah. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care what things are, when they are. Like, it'll happen one way or another. So that would be my honest response. Diamond, do you think you have anything to add where that's concerned?
I think that's as good as I think we're going to get on it.
Cool. So hopefully we answered your question. If we didn't, feel free to send us another one. I'll make sure to respond to your email though, so that you know where to find the answer once this is posted up. So now we have a couple of questions, 2 of which I think were here beforehand, 2 of which I have thrown in since the start of the episode here. So the first is, what is your GM RPG horror story?
Oh, how I learned to say no as a GM.
That kind of horror story. We're not talking about spooky. We're talking about, dear God, I cringed my ass off, or I had like an actual problem. Got it. Okay. I'll have to think about this one. Yeah.
So I was part of a club where we were assigned, where us GMs were assigned to groups for a semester or a year. I got assigned with this group for a semester. Now, to understand, here I am, 21-year-old Dia. I'm 25 now. GMing Dungeons and Dragons. I get assigned this group. Now, this group of people, they're all friends with each other. Like, okay, all right, everybody knows each other. And I was like, oh, wait, they're all friends with each other. And then it happened. Introducing the Dark Metal Marauders of the Black Hollow. So it's like, oh, great. All right. I can see where this is going. And these guys...
It's good campy name, at least. I like the campy. The camp is fun.
Camp would have been nice had they, decided that, well, GM, because we actually can do this, you have to allow it. And I didn't know how to say... I didn't know how to say no at the time. So, and I also didn't know about...
Incorrect.
I didn't know about milestone leveling. I only knew about XP leveling at the time. So they would go through...
I mean, to be fair, it doesn't help that the DM guides and stuff push so heavily for XP leveling, and that's what character levels are based on. And everything's written out in XP.
And I had been using this setting that was made by a previous GM, and like it was one that like he put like hours upon hours of notes and like files, and like to understand it takes up like 3 gigabytes of my 4 gigabytes of my hard drive right now.
That's impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot. I still
see.
haven't gotten to the bottom of everything in here.
How big is
it's a whole
my
world.
Cyberpunk RED? Let me see. I'm curious how big my Cyberpunk RED folder is. My whole Cyberpunk RED folder on my computer is just 2 gigabytes. So that's crazy. Holy shit.
This is the world, the countries, the politics of said countries, the city, notable people of that city, notable locations, deities, pantheon. I already said pantheons. Weather.
But yeah.
It's just like, and this beautifully crafted world, and they would just go through these villages just murdering, and they would get stronger and stronger because, all right, GM, give us our XP. Until it got to a point, it's just like, yeah, this woman that we have as carrying some of our stuff for us, I want to throw her into a pocket dimension. Why? Easy access.
Because it seems like a fun thing to do.
I canceled sessions because I kind of caught on to what they were trying to do with this assistant of theirs. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to entertain this anymore. I'm done here.
Nope.
And I stopped GMing for a while after that until another group came around. And some of them were just like, so why did you stop GMing? You've been a good GM for us, Dia. And it's like, well, because of this. Like, okay, but can we go kill said party? I'm like, oh, you want to go kill them? I have the character sheets. Yeah, I want to go kill them. They went. And look, I'm never one to like live out like murder fantasies like this, but you know what? This was acceptable. Yeah. They committed a bunch of war crimes towards basically some of these people's homelands, and it's just like, yeah. Sure. So is there a big enough tree to hold the weight of all these grognards? By chance, I'm like, I guess. But like I had to learn saying no was a very, very important thing, and that I could learn to just, some things didn't have to be entertained just because I was the GM.
Yeah.
I wasn't just there to, put things in front of the players. I am there to, tell the story alongside them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's tricky until you learn that you have that power to like veto what the players are doing because it's beyond the pale. Like, because it is one of those things where like, and I think Cyberpunk RED leans a hard way into like, you need to understand like, this is your power, especially with things like tech convention. Like, you really need to understand like, this is your power. Please use it. It is there for a reason. Man, the other thing too that I learned early on in D&D that I've carried with me ever since is the golden rule of like, if the GM says it, it is possible, right? Like, or if the GM breathes life into it, it is given life. Like, that is the whole idea of like the GM's it has the final say, right? And I've had to call off this is something I think all GMs have dealt with at one point or another, right? Especially with the kind of group I was playing with at the time. I was maybe, 18, 19, and I was playing with a group that was primarily consistent of my brother's friends at the time. Like, there's one or two of my own in there, but like, we were playing D&D. This isn't really my horror story. I don't have a lot of big horror stories like that. Like, thank God. I've been really, really lucky that most of the people I've played with, I've trusted to like keep things mature enough, right? This is one of those times that didn't happen, where like someone starts trying to like flirt with a barmaid, and I had to look across at my brother's friend, and I'm like, so, do you want to flirt with me right now? And he's just like, no. I'm like, okay, then we're not going to do that. Okay. Because he was maybe like 14 at the time. And so I just like looked him dead in the eye. I'm like, do you really want to do this right now? Like, but because I always think like that's kind of the first place I think like most GMs learn to say no is when like that sort of the discussion happens and you're like, are you really here to role play like that? Like, we can fade it to black because I understand like relationships are important, but we're not gonna do that. Like that ain't happening. So like it's that's one of those things where ultimately, if I have to think about a horror story, I mean, man, like it's hard. I genuinely like I've made mistakes as a GM that have been relatively minor, but like nothing that I'd qualify would be interesting to post to like RPG horror stories or anything like that,
All right.
Yeah.
The next question. Go ahead.
Connor points out, I romanced my brother playing an NPC one time. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Look, it's amusing playing my girlfriend's character's most bitter rivals because I know how to get under Valkyrie's skin sometimes.
No, it's the same thing with me and my wife. Like when she does deign to play a TTRPG with me, every now and then if I want to poke at her, I know kind of like, hey, like I can really start to agitate her in the right way to like be like, God damn it, stop! It's like, yeah, that's good. So the next one, where can we see you guys at PAX Unplugged? What are you doing there? So the where is a question mark. I'm still waiting to get final communication on what that looks like in particular. What we are doing there, we are running a game room, or at least we're part of a game room. I don't quite know where the responsibility for running it goes, but I know I've been tasked with demos, and everyone that is coming with, it's going to be me, it's going to be Diamond, it's going to be Phantom, who's been my GM for Cyberpunk since I started playing, my friend Robert, who has appeared once or twice in Neon Inferno. He will be there with us, and then Lord Jesus Crest.
Yeah, and Jesus and Robert were both on the Gen Con special as well.
Yep. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So you guys have seen LCC around, and Robert, was the other guy in the room with us. So we'll be doing something similar at PAX U probably one of the nights. Probably we'll just plan on being the final night again, so that we can kind of collate it all into like one wind-up episode. Yeah, but as far as where our game room is going to be, I've yet to hear back from Artel Sorian on that. Once we know, we're going to be sharing it everywhere. Like you'll know where to see us, and if we have time in our schedule, because we still don't know what that looks like quite yet, then we'll make everyone aware where you can find us, because we would love to talk with everyone that wants to come and meet us. The fact that we have an audience wanting to do that, to me it's never going to stop feeling kind of like weird in the best way, where I'm like, damn, I've got people that want to find me and not in a way where they want to kill me. That's great. So
thanks whoever donated. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah. So next was, who is the most handsome Neon Inferno cast member, and why is it Connor? Yes, Connor, I'm singling you out by putting this in the Q&A. Let's see. Okay. I just want to give you a headache.
Neon Inferno cast member. Look, I don't know. Not gonna lie though. Have you seen Peacock? Like, have you seen Peacock?
I'm partial to the man who talks very little but blasted K through the head.
Yes.
Celsius is one hell of a man. But the final one, do you usually GM the stories of, I'm assuming Tales of the Red Street stories, in chronological order?
No.
No. I pick and choose. I think because each gig has a vibe, and when you kind of understand the vibe and kind of what you're playing for, it's a little more like you can kind of pick, and depending on people's backstories too, like even from Thursday to Friday, because I run 2 games of it concurrently right now, you guys have not been going through the adventures in the same order. You guys have been in completely different orders. So like, it's fun. I think based on backstories and stuff, you kind of pick and choose. But yeah, that's when I run it. That's what I do.
All right. Oh, Discord.
What is Discord doing?
What is your favorite Halloween candy? What is your favorite Halloween candy, Emmerron?
It's a tie. I'd say it's a two-way tie between 100 grand and Twix.
Oh, okay. I fucking love Twizzlers. I fucking love Twizzlers. But yeah, I think we're at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think unless anybody else has questions, but then we're pretty much done, I think.
Next week, we will not be having Wireheads as Emmerron is going off to the fantastic land of Minnesota somewhere. So, unfortunately, he will not be home. But he'll be in my time zone. Oh my god, we're going to be in the same time zone. Now,
that is weird.
And I guess for all of you guys that are in the U.S., make sure you turn your clocks back an hour on Sunday, and make sure you do your goddamn patriotic duty and go vote this Tuesday, or if you can sooner, go out, go do it.
Do it. Make it happen.
We can stop cyberpunk dystopias together.
Use your power, guys. Yeah, like we talk about what the dark future's like. I'd like not to see it in reality, please. But with that said, yeah, I think that's our show for the week, guys.
All right. Until then.
Only we have one more. One more. What is your favorite role to play as a player?
Ooh. As of recent, like, I love Netrunner. I love Netrunner, but as of recent, Fixer has been kind of growing on me.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you look up in the title card, like, right next to me up here.
We're Wireheads, though.
You know, yeah, I mean, I to this day, Netrunner is probably my favorite. I love being a problem solver, so, like... Netrunner, I mean, my top three, if I were to cycle between them, probably would be Netrunner, MedTech, and Fixer, because those three just solve different kinds of problems for the team.
I guess for me, it is it's got to be Netrunner as its primary, media, and Fixer. I'm very much more pull up the clues kinds of stuff. So
yeah.
I suppose if you missed the first half of the episode where we talk about the Halloween scream sheets, click on the link below. But until then, we won't be here next week, but we'll be here the week after. Which I'm gonna.
We should still be here then.
I'm going to try to line up to see if maybe we can get Rob Mulligan on here maybe in a couple weeks, if you're open to that, because he's open on Thursday nights.
Just keep me in the loop, but I'm down.
And then
100%.
Seth Skorkowski at some point we'll get you onto the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chaotic time of year for everybody right now. I know the holidays get hard, so if not before the end of this year, we'll probably pick it up at the beginning of next with some of those interviews, because everyone's fucking busy right now.
Rob Barefoot, we're coming for you. We will find you.
For you. We're approaching rapidly.
we need to talk to our old friend Dice at some point.
We do. No.
All right.
I'm excited to talk with him about things at Artel, and because we talk privately every now and then about it, but it's not often we get him for a whole hour. So yeah, it'll be good. But that's it, guys.
I suppose on that note, have a happy Halloween, All Hallows Eve, and Dias most. Gosh, I Day of the Dead for those that celebrate it, because
Dia de los Muertos.
Yes, yeah. I am fumbling over my words today. I'm so sorry. But until then, friends, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.